Hey there, and welcome to Scaling Up Your Impact, the podcast where we help therapists grow their skills, confidence, and impact. At Scaling Up, we're passionate about offering free content and support because we believe in the incredible work that therapists are doing in the world. Hi, I'm Kelly Smythe-Dent, the founder of Scaling Up, and in today's episode, it's just me, sharing thoughtful insights from our team and our amazing community of therapists. But before we get started, please be sure to sign up for our free weekly newsletter. Each week, we'll send you the latest podcast episodes along with related workbooks, tools, and tips to help you put your ideas into practice. You can subscribe either at scalingupemdr.com or you can find the link in our show notes. It's free and designed to support your growth. We're so glad that you're here. Let's dive in.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Scaling Up Your Impact podcast. I'm Robyn with Scaling Up, and this podcast is where you can find practical, trauma-informed tools, mindset shifts, and clinical strategies for those therapists that want to grow without burning out. And today we have a really fun and special episode. I am talking with Jennifer Pollock, a therapist in Colorado, who is going to share an experience she had doing EMDR GAP protocols, which we'll get into later, with folks in Costa Rica. And we are really excited to have you on today. We're going to learn about how the EMDR GAP protocols were utilized in this situation, in this scenario, the transformation Jennifer saw, and also how this work, this humanitarian EMDR mental health, impacted Jennifer's practice and her future endeavors. So welcome to the show, Jennifer. It's so nice to have you. I would love for you to share a little bit about yourself with our audience so they can get to know you a tiny bit.
Thank you so much for having me, Robyn. I'm really grateful to be here.
Absolutely.
So I've been a psychotherapist for over 23 years, and I've also been doing EMDR therapy for over 23 years as well. I work mostly with individual women anywhere from their 20s all the way up into their 80s. Besides depression and anxiety issues, it seems my services are usually most sought after for trauma issues. The trauma issues I see span a gamut. I work with people with a lot of childhood abuse issues, vehicular accidents, relational trauma, war-related issues if they're veterans or civilians, and complicated grief. I also have a lot of people who have either chronic pain issues or other chronically or acutely challenging medical conditions, people with cancer or Lyme's disease, or sometimes autoimmune disorders, or sometimes just undiagnosed issues of chronic nature. I've also done quite a bit of work with people who have DID, specifically using EMDR with those clients. And I am trained in the Scaling Up's model of EMDR intensives. So I've been gradually adding this type of intervention to my practice as I have the time.
Wow, so you've really seen it all in the trauma EMDR
Quite a bit.
realm. Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you so much for sharing a little bit about your background or kind of what your focus area is in. Is there anything else you'd like folks to know before we dive in?
I'm also a member of the Hive Plus, so Scaling Up's online community. So I've been very grateful for all the resources that Scaling Up has been able to offer me. I got trained in the GAP protocols in May of 2022, and it's been amazing watching these protocols just really help my practice, both locally here and also overseas.
Yeah, that's great. I forgot you were a Hive member. We really appreciate you really, just being part of what we're doing here at Scaling Up. We really love to talk with folks who have taken a lot of our trainings or in the Hive. They just seem like, an unofficial Scaling Up ambassador. And so we're just really grateful that you are taking the time to spend with us again, this time chatting on our show. And so let's dive in, and we want to make sure we have time to talk about the really amazing humanitarian work that you did not too long ago. You went to Costa Rica and conducted some healing workshops, and partnered with local clinicians and practitioners there to do some amazing EMDR work. Can you tell us about what that was like? What all did you do? Where'd you go? All that fun stuff.
Well, I was mostly in central Costa Rica, so just a little south of the capital, San Jose. And my contacts there and I just really had a strong heart to want to offer some help to women who otherwise would not have been able to afford the type of mental health care that they offer to people. So largely through word of mouth, we ended up with 7 ladies who had either chronic and or some actually had acute trauma as well. So we were able to gather them and use all 4 of the GAP protocols with the work that we did for them over the course of a couple of weeks, basically.
That's great. So you were there for a couple of weeks and you did all the protocols. What did you, how did you start? Like, did you work with the ASSYST in a group format? Kind of, how did you figure out those logistics with what protocols to do when and how to kind of assess the group members for what they needed?
That's a great question. So in preparation for the trip, my contacts and I, as they were there on the ground, locating the women, offering it to those who might need it most, we were able to do online interviews with each of them individually. And from there, figuring out what their issues were and potentially how intense they were in those moments. That gave us kind of a starting point to figure out where to jump off. So bottom line, when everyone got together and we kind of did like an informal, actually it was more of a formal, kind of a check-in with everyone, it seemed that 6 of the 7 women were coming in hot, like about an 8, 9, 10 on our SUD scale with where they were. Mm-hmm. So for that specific reason, I decided to do with everyone, we as a group did 1 round of the ASSYST G, mm-hmm. just to make sure that everyone could kind of regulate their nervous systems and kind of come down to a safer place. So everyone got 1 round of ASSYST G. And then from there, for the next 5 of the 6 workshops, we focused specifically on the EMDR IGTP OTS. And then after those, so either between those other workshops and or in the week that followed, we identified 4 women who still needed potentially some more work. So with those, the individual meetings, we did either PRECI and or ASSYST-I with whatever they needed at the time.
Yeah. Wow, I love that. That sounds like it's really informed by what the ladies needed, and how you could work together to make sure that they got those needs met with the protocols. That's wonderful. And just for those listening that may not have the EMDR GAP protocols under their belt yet, I just want to provide a little bit of context. So the ASSYST G that Jennifer talked about is our acute stress syndrome stabilization treatment intervention. And that really works to help stabilize a person's nervous system by really kind of bringing down the intensity of intrusive symptoms that the person might be feeling that causes a physiological response in the body. So the ASSYST is not doing something like breathing or mindfulness, those types of skills. It really works on a physiological level in a similar way that EMDR does, to help the nervous system kind of get in a place where the distress or the disturbance that they're feeling as a result of these symptoms is drastically reduced so that they can then engage in a higher intensity intervention like EMDR therapy and so forth. So you started with the ASSYST group, and that's in a group format. You can do the ASSYST in a group format. And then you went to the IGTP, which is an advanced EMDR protocol called the Integrative Group Treatment Protocol. And that is an amazing EMDR group intervention that you can do with a group of 2 or all the way up to 100. And it's amazing at helping folks kind of reprocess trauma in a communal setting, but not having to rehash every detail with the members of their group and have that kind of vulnerability, but also be able to actually do the healing work that they really want to do, and not in isolation, and also in a way that's a little bit faster. And as you said, more accessible. Because had this workshop not taken place, these women wouldn't have had the opportunity given, barriers to access and other things in their community. So being able to do group EMDR, whether you're in Costa Rica or in your hometown or somewhere else, really helps to increase access and also increase clients' kind of ability to move forward in their journey. And then you
Absolutely.
did the PRECI, which is the individual format, similar to the IGTP, but on an individual level or basis. And the ASSYST-I is also the same thing as the ASSYST-G, but just on an individual basis. So you did all of those, and how they're organized. And it sounds like you did it just like how we would teach it, which is figuring out how to create a care plan that is based on the client's symptoms and, what they're needing in a stepped care approach. So start with kind of that baseline, the ASSYST group, get everyone through that, see where people are, and then kind of triage from there. Who needs one-on-one EMDR? Do we need EMDR group? Like how does this work? And that is what we call, step care approach to mental health. And we love that. We love that it seemed to work so smoothly with your participants. What was the feedback you got from them? Did you notice the transformations kind of right away, or are you still getting feedback? Let us know.
It's a good question. So my contacts on the ground continue to give me pieces of information as they come from the 7 ladies. And I believe even after the first few weeks of going home, leaving the situation, I was already getting good feedback. I think they had spoken with 6 of the 7 women who had said this has been, I don't know if they would say life-altering, but they had brought a lot to the table that they needed to work on, each of them had. And 6 of the 7 that they had heard from had already said, this has been very impactful to me. It's made a difference in my body, in my emotions, and how I'm carrying myself. There was one woman also who had even said that she couldn't receive phone calls from her mother beforehand because just the phone ringing because of her situation was enough to send her into a trauma state. Mm-hmm. And after the work that we did, she realized, oh my goodness, it's been a few weeks and I can actually receive calls from my mother now without going into a trauma state. So something as basic as that had already started to be transformed in her body.
Wow, that's phenomenal. I love hearing those stories. Sometimes it's those, they seem little, it's like, oh, well, I just can't get this phone call. And it seems like such a small thing, but it has such a big impact in day-to-day life and relationship. And I love that she already able to see that kind of shift and within herself and be able to take that call without getting so, getting activated by all the trauma. Yeah.
And there's another woman, if I can tell another example.
Yeah, please.
There was one woman, I'd say she was probably the most activated of the 7 when we were starting. And she had had a challenging history of pretty intense abuse. So the first time I met her, she was clearly, deer in the headlights, just running hot with a lot of anxiety, a lot of anger, a lot of sadness. So we did a lot of work with her. By the end of the 6 workshops, she was, everyone else except for her had come down to like a 0, 1, or 2 at the end of all 6 workshops, which is wonderful, I thought. But she herself was ending in a 4. So clearly there was still something going on for her quite a bit.
That's still real big transformation, right?
Well,
from
way high to 4.
Yeah.
So there's progress, definitely, and hopeful progress. But there was still like a hitch in her giddy up. There was something stuck. Incidentally, we and all of us together ended up having some informal talks with her. We ended up doing a 3-hour intensive with her. We used the PRECI. In the midst of that, we actually transitioned to Flash for a little bit, actually. And we just kind of creatively wove butterfly tap back into the PRECI as well because she needed a lot more like touch and grounding. And then at the end or closer to the end of the 2 weeks, we ended up having a pretty intense time meeting as well with her husband and her. And with all of the work we poured into that woman, by the end of it, she was like a different person. I've heard continued reports from our contacts there that she just is in a healthier place. Her marriage is in a healthier place. There have been reports, even I think her 20-year-old daughter has reported back to the contacts that she sees her mom as a different person now already. So it's been beautiful to see how these GAP protocols just have been vastly impactful on these women in that place in such a short period of time. Even that was wonderful to see.
Yeah, short period of time. It's not like you all were doing this workshop for 6 months.
No,
it
not at all.
was one relatively short trip or experience, I should say. So that's fantastic. I love to hear that. Thank you for sharing those stories with us.
It's been really encouraging to me.
Yeah, I can imagine. So, what's next in terms of like you going out doing more humanitarian EMDR? Is that something that you're interested in, either in your local community or elsewhere?
All the above. I am a member of HAP, the Trauma Recovery Network of EMDR. So, as you all know, there was recently an incident in Colorado, and our team was not called out for that. But I'm ready. I'm standing at the ready for anything in Colorado, or if I can help in another state or another country, I am open to the options. So I'm excited to see where I'll go next.
That's great. So are we. I can't wait to hear more stories from you. And just how you are experiencing this transformation for yourself and the people that you work with. I know that you mentioned doing some intensives, using the PRECI and other things, and that is also really exciting. So, anyone in Colorado looking for an intensive, definitely reach out to Jennifer. So yeah, how, I guess let's just end with this. What words of wisdom or advice would you like to leave folks who are interested in doing this work, but aren't quite sure if it's right for them or where to start?
It's a really good question, Robyn. And I know for me, being able to, through my Hive Plus membership, I was able to ask one question weekly to Kelly Smythe Dent, and that was, I don't know if I can say life-changing, if that sounds too extreme, but it really motivated me, it directed me, it helped me get clarity on what that trip could look like, who to interact with, how to do it well. So being able to use the Hive Plus membership is, I think, integral in helping someone make that determination for themselves, if that would be a good piece of work for them or not. I think also if someone does decide to do that type of work, being able to enter the location and the culture with humility and also eagerness, just to learn from those around you is key. And I think, we as EMDR therapists going in any place around the world try to go in with humility, but just to intentionally come with that humility and eagerness is important. I think also being able to have a heart for the plight of the people that you're going to interact with is huge. And so, open your heart and allow yourself to truly care about them. I would agree that it is definitely a more painful route to get in touch with the depth of someone's suffering. But from that place, when you're working with them in that space, and you can feel it in your own heart, they know that, and they can sense that you're caring about them deeply. So I think it's much more impactful if you let yourself just step into their pain.
Yeah.
And although I didn't make this statement up, I heard it from the Trauma Recovery Humanitarian Assistance Program Conference this past August, but someone there had said, know your why. What is the reason? Why are you wanting to go? So I think it can be really challenging work in many ways, to go to other countries and do this pro bono work. And if you don't remember your reasons for wanting to do it, you could get easily discouraged. So make sure you're clear with your motivations, and this will help you press on both in your preparation process as well as in your actual work.
Yeah. Such wise words. Thank you so much for that. And I love that you highlighted, connecting with your why and really your values in that and holding on to that when things get stressful with the logistics and all those things. And then also to help you remain, just grounded and centered in yourself, and not getting discouraged. But then also utilizing the resources that you have, such as the Hive or people in your local TRN, if you're part of one of those, or the organizations with whom you're partnering with to go to different places, whether they're, in the school systems in your hometown or you're invited somewhere else. I think that's really important to lean into, the connections that you have and the resources you have available to you. So. And to remember that there are so many resources and there's a lot of people out there doing this work and wanting to connect. Maybe they're just getting started and they want to connect. So now those of you in Colorado, there's someone else you can connect with.
Absolutely.
And Jennifer, we will include your information, how folks can find you in our show notes, in case they do want to reach out and ask you questions or partner or whatever. Your information will be there. So folks, take a look on our show notes if you want that information. Once again, Jennifer, thank you so much for sharing some time with us and your stories and your experience. And thank you so much for doing the work that you do in your community, with your clients in Colorado, and with those women in Costa Rica. It sounds like everyone was really, really moved. And it was just such a beautiful experience for everyone, even though it was probably quite challenging for their participants. But they were brave and they did it, and it sounded really, really, really amazing and worth it. So
it was a blessing for me to be able to be on that trip, and I'm so grateful for you wanting to hear more about it. So thanks for inviting me.
of course. Well, hopefully we'll be in touch soon. Let us know next time you do something amazing. We would love to follow up with you on those adventures as well. And thank you everyone for tuning in today. If you are curious about doing any sort of crisis response work or early intervention or even humanitarian mental health in your local community or abroad, feel free to check out our website. We do have resources for crisis response. We have our ASSYST training for those of you who don't do EMDR therapy but would love to be able to do different crisis response strategies. Our ASSYST training would be amazing for you. We have our EMDR basic training, and of course, the protocols that Jennifer used on her most recent work was the EMDR GAP protocols, our advanced training for therapists who are EMDR trained. Check that out too. All of this will be on the show notes. Thank you so much for tuning in. So until next time, keep scaling up your impact, even if that means leaning into the resources that you have and the connections that you're cultivating so that down the road, something amazing can happen. See you next time, everyone.